Hey guys, so I went to Prague, and I've not talked about it, so here it goes. Now, I had watched a lot of videos about Prague, and it's mainly from this one YouTube channel called Stream.cz, and the guy there is he's adorable and really excited about Prague, and his English is rather good, I'm surprised actually. But I watched a shit ton of those videos, and I was sort of prepared, I guess. Not really, actually. But Prague I recommend it. I really recommend it. And the thing is that it's touristy, but it's just pretty, and I think that makes it worth like all the crowds and shit. So the first thing I noticed actually was, and I actually knew about this from watching the videos, but like when you enter the airport, you'll actually find that a lot of the signage is quadrilingual, so like English, Czech, Russian, and Korean. And Korean is the one that makes zero sense to most people who show up, except for the Koreans themselves. And the reason for this, apparently, is because there's a direct flight between Prague and Seoul. So that's why. That means most of the Asian tourists there are actually Koreans and not Chinese or Japanese or whatever. So that's interesting. And you actually see around the city trilingual signs in English, Czech, and Korean, which is probably one of the strangest combinations I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, I decided to do public transportation because I like doing public transportation from the airport to the city. And that was rather easy because the ticket machine actually took contactless cards, so I just tapped and got my 3-day ticket, which was not worth it because I thought I would be using public transportation a lot more, and I did not. In fact, in order for me to have broken even, I should have used it 12 times. I only used it like 4 or 5, which is unfortunate. But I mean, in the end, it was still only like, I don't know, under like 9 or 11 euros or something. I don't know. It was sort of cheap, so I was like, fuck it, who cares? I find that Prague is really out to rip tourists off. Like, you'll find a lot of exchange places that, well, actually, you'll find them like being talked about online on YouTube. Like, this is a bad exchange place. This is a bad exchange place, and they're like all over the place. And there's like only one that I've heard that was actually good. Not that I ever used any, but just as some background, like, people have no reason to like reuse the Czech crown, so like I think the whole system is designed to like make people withdraw as many Czech crowns as possible, and like at the end they have no idea what to do with them, and then that's it. So for example, like I never went to exchange place because I had no need to. And I don't know why anyone would go to exchange place, because I mean, for Christ's sake, like we're in like the year 2017. You must have a debit card that doesn't have like exorbitant like ATM fees or whatever. So just do that, or use credit card. I don't know. Some people are just really like card phobics or whatever. I don't know. Or they're Asian and maybe their debit cards don't work or something like that. But still, prepaid. I don't know. But anyway, so I have a card that lets me use Euronet ATMs without any ATM fees, which is good because it's Euronet and it's pretty much everywhere-ish. And I decided to go to one, and I mean, let me tell you, like, looking for one was really fucking difficult because, I don't know, it was just difficult to find one. Or it was difficult to find one that wasn't in a sketchy location or wasn't attached to one of these bad exchange places. So I had this idea that maybe they like the ones by the exchange places have like really like crappy rates, and well, I mean, yeah, they probably do, and I'm pretty sure they do. But the thing with the Euronet ones is that you can actually choose to let your bank decide the exchange rate, which is what I did. And they're very tricky about this because when you withdraw, they actually tell you, oh, here is the exchange rate that we're going to give you, and here's an option to not use the exchange rate that we give you, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be awesome. And they really like make that clear to you, like, our exchange rate is super awesome. And even if you click the one where it's like no guarantee exchange rate, like it will ask you to confirm, and the button to confirm using the ATM's internal exchange rate is green, whereas the one using your bank's exchange rate is red. So it's like, if you're not really thinking, you will click the green one and accidentally use their exchange rate, which I'm pretty sure is pretty crappy. I didn't check because I knew, but that was sort of interesting. And even beyond that, before that actually, my conversion rate from crowns to euros was like, I think it was 100. Yeah, it was 100 crowns is about 4 euros. This is rough. Like, the thing is that when you're at any ATM really in Prague, well, I mean, I only used the Euronet ones, but that's how they worked. When you choose to withdraw money, they list you like a bunch of amounts which are extremely high. Like, I think on the first screen there was like the highest number was like 50,000 crowns, which is, if you do the math, is about, I don't know, close to 2,000 euros, a little bit under that. And I'm like, why the fuck would anyone want to withdraw 50,000 crowns? Like, it just makes no sense. So I was not obviously going to withdraw that much money because I had no intention to spend that much money. So I clicked, okay, there's a button for other amount, so I clicked that. And I still, looking through the list, I was like, the lowest number here is like 8,000 crowns, which is still like, what? It's like 320 euros. I'm like, I'm not going to spend 320 euros in Prague. Actually, I may have spent that much. But that's not the point. The point is, the lowest amount that they advertised was 8,000 crowns, which is still a lot of money. And then you have an option to press the button that says other amount, which lets you input how much you want to withdraw using the keypad, but they don't tell you what the smallest crown note is that they offer. And for someone who has no idea like what banknotes there are for the crown, like, you're sort of like, what if I enter an amount and it doesn't actually dispense that, because it doesn't dispense bills that small, and if there's people waiting behind me, blah blah blah, all this pressure, and you just don't know, and so you try to play it safe. So I played it a little bit safe, sort of. So I decided to try my luck, and I withdrew 2,000 crowns, which is about, I don't know, 80 euros, which is, actually spent that in a reasonable way. And when I got the money, I was like, wow, that they actually dispensed 200 crown notes, which is the equivalent of about 8 euros. I'm like, I could have withdrawn a lot less than that, which is a lesson to anyone who is listening and who intends to go to Prague. If you're going to withdraw, know that the Euronet ATMs actually dispense down to 200 crown notes. They might even dispense 100 crown notes, but I'm not sure because I didn't check. But, check, get it. But that's that. As for the city itself, I mean, just go do the touristy stuff. It's pretty. Go to Charles Bridge, very pretty, take pictures. Go to the castle. I love the castle. Actually, I went at night by accident. I was walking across Charles Bridge one night and I didn't really know where I was going, but I saw this big ass thing and I was like, okay. Actually, I saw the big ass thing. I didn't know how to get to it, but I went down this little alley and there was, this alley was sort of creepy because there's literally no one. And it was like maybe 8 at night, so it's dark already. And I saw this massively long stairwell all the way up. I was like, well, okay, it leads up to a palace, but I don't know if it's going to be open for like tourists to actually walk around. But still, I went, and it turned out it's actually open for tourists, even at night. I mean, you don't go inside, but you can walk in the courtyard and the I don't know, a plaza, I guess, if you want to call it that. And you can actually see like the cathedral like close up, and it's impressive. And the fact that you see it at night makes it even more eerie or majestic or, I don't know, profound. It's just so empty and no like very few tourists. They actually have security check right before the entrance. So like you will get you have to empty your pockets and then you have to go through a metal detector thing. But I enjoyed it a lot. The second day, I hadn't done this in a long time, but I went to Sandeman's, which is a walking tour group in most of Europe, and I did that. And my guide I talked to the guide, and the moment he like opened his mouth, I knew he was Dutch. Not that I knew, but like I could feel that like he just sounded Dutch. But the thing was, he was talking about Dutch people in a third person. Like he was talking about some Dutch person who mistakenly flew somewhere where they did not expect. And I was like, what is a Dutch person doing in Prague? And I mean, working in Prague, especially as a tour guide. Like, shouldn't like a Czech person be doing this? And the sad thing is, he had a flag on his name card, and it was red, white, and blue horizontal. Not in that order, but like for like the love of God, I forgot what the like Dutch flag looked like, and I was like, oh, the Russian flag, of course. Okay, so he's Russian. It makes more sense than the Dutch person working in Czech Republic, Czechia, and it turned out he's Dutch, and I was like, oh, well, that sucks. I was wrong. But he was really strange in the sense that like he had a lot of dark humor, which was quite interesting. And at one cafe where we had a break, like he went around and asked people like what kind of things we would want him to suggest for us, food or attractions or whatever. And a lot of people asked about like Czech food. But like I was talking with my table, and like I said that like I was living in Poland, and when he came around, I asked like everyone else asked him, oh, where can we find like Czech food? And I asked him, where can I find not Czech food? And I had to explain, well, because I've been living in Poland for 2 years. And then he was like, oh yeah, well, and the thing is, he said, I hate you. I was like, well, sorry. And that made his life a little bit more difficult, because I guess he had to think a little bit more. But he recommended a pizza place and a couple Vietnamese places. And speaking of Vietnamese places, apparently there's a large Vietnamese population in Czechia, and I decided, I might as well like go look for it, because like online people are saying, oh, the Vietnamese food is really great at this place, which I do not remember what it's called. Song Pi or something like that. And I looked at it on Google Maps. I was like, oh, that's not as close as I wanted it to be, because it's actually 30 to 40 minutes by public transportation away from the city center of Prague. So it's actually really far. And looking at the website, it was sort of ratchet, and the picture, it actually reminded me of like a Vietnamese shop thing complex that I went to once in, I think it was Los Angeles. And it's really, it's California, so things are really far away anyway. But that's what it reminded me of. And for European living, it's sort of strange. But I decided to go, and it was nice because I got to see the normal things you expect from an Eastern European country, or Warsaw Pact country, which is, say, block housing, run-down areas, blah, 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 tired people. For some reason, Slavic people look really tired outside of the city center. I got there, I was like, wow, I'm really in the middle of fucking nowhere, because I didn't even know where the fuck this thing was. Like, I got off at the bus stop, and like Google Maps told me to walk like 800 meters this way. I was like, but there's nothing there. I see like this rundown building. And I saw like, there was a couple of Vietnamese people on the bus, and I was like, okay, I'm sure I'm in the right place. I don't know where to fucking go. And so like I decided to like go into this building, and lo and behold, beyond this building was lines of like sort of run-downy buildings with like tons of shops in them, but it just was so derelict, and I don't know, I didn't feel safe. I was like, I don't think I should be here. Like, think the backside of a Chinatown, like where they load all the supplies and stuff. Like, so you'll see crates and stuff like stacked all over, and it's just, it didn't feel that inviting. Which, you know, if you're Asian and you live in that kind of neighborhood, then it's not a big deal. But for me, I was like, oh, okay. Now, I was looking for pho, which is the beef noodle soup, and you know, I was walking around and I found a place that got a lot of reviews, and it was sort of different because they only offered beef pho and chicken pho, and that was basically it. And not only that, but it was just different because their style is Northern Vietnamese, so, and they're living in the Czech Republic, so I feel like they offer things that were a little different. So the beef was not like thinly sliced, it was like more of a mash that was like, I don't know, shaped into like a flat thing, I guess. I mean, it still tasted good, it was just not what I expected. And then they also gave, instead of like the full like plate of garnish that you normally get with like Southern Vietnamese pho, which is, you know, like Thai basil, cilantro, mint, and bean sprouts, and a lime, and some chili peppers. They gave me chopped red chilies and lemon. And then they gave me a plate of, in Cantonese I call it yao jia tu, or ya tu, which is basically a Chinese donut. I mean, really crappy translation, but it's like fried dough. I had no idea what to do with it. I was like, is this some Czech like trick where like they give me food and they expect me to pay for something I didn't order? It's like, I waved down one of the guys and like his English was non-existent, and I don't speak any Vietnamese, so that made it difficult, and I don't speak Czech. And Czech is different enough from Polish that I didn't feel comfortable using it. So, and he was pointing to the thing, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. And I actually Google Translated, I didn't order this, and he looked at me funny, and he was like pointing at it like I was an idiot. It's like, I don't know. And I looked over at some other table, and like some guy was dipping this stuff into his soup. I was like, why the fuck would you do that? I mean, the way I normally eat this stuff is like, I'll have it chopped up and I'll dip it in sugar. That's how my mom does it. But I tried it with the soup, and it was like, oh, okay, sure, why not? So that was pretty nice. And then I GTFO'd because I didn't want to stay there, and it was nothing really. Next day, or later that night, I met with my friend Elena. We hung out with her and her colleagues. And then next day, we got Vietnamese banh mi, which is the Vietnamese baguette sandwich, which is pretty good. And, you know, we walked around, just didn't really do a whole lot, but, you know, we had dinner, blah, 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 just general hanging out, that's all. And then the last day, I had some free time. She had to leave early, but I had, like, many hours still left, so I left the hotel, and I walked around and found this nice park, and got a good view of the city. And I think that is pretty much it. There might be other things that I'm forgetting. Oh, of course, I'm forgetting this. So I'm not big into museums, but I did go to the museum for Alphonse Mucha. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Mucha? It's Mucha. No, it must be Mucha. And this guy is Czech, and he's he was an artist, he's dead. And he actually did a lot for the Art Nouveau style, which I thought, it reminded me a lot of a deviant art artist that my sister was into when we were younger. The style emphasizes like thick outlines, not that thick, but thick black outlines, and not outlining every single shape, but like the important ones, or the ones that are important for perception and depth. And I was really glad I went, because in the gift shop I actually saw an illustration that I really enjoyed, and it's called Clair de Lune, and it features 3/4 clad woman with a nice smile, and there's like a few stars in the background, and her little shawl thing has like a moon or something pattern, and I decided that's gonna be my phone's like wallpaper, and that's what it is. And that's my takeaway from Czechia, from Prague. And yeah, that's about it. Czech is a funny language. Listening to it, actually reading it, like I can figure out a lot of things by looking at it because it looks really similar to Polish. It sounds quite similar. Like the word for thank you is dziękuję, whereas in Polish it's dziękuję. Or you say, and this is true for a lot of Slavic languages, but to say like good morning or good day, you say dobry dzień, or something like that. And in Polish, for some reason, the order is reversed. It's dzień dobry. And there's a bunch of other things. I guess the one thing I wanted to say, I guess if I want to say anything about the Czech language, is that it is really fucking hard to pronounce some things because some words don't actually have vowels. Like they have what they call syllabic consonants, which means a consonant can act as a vowel. So there's this famous phrase in Czech, strč, prst, skrč, krk, which means stick your finger through your neck or something like that, which is really strange. And yeah, that's all I've got to say. So in conclusion, don't get ripped off and go to Prague and admire its beauty, and that's about it.